Hey Bibliophiles, and welcome to day 3 of the annual Booktubeathon. Today's challenge was called Movie Magic, and in it we had to reenact a scene from a book. This took me hours to figure out what scene I wanted to do, and then hours to actually film it. If you haven't guessed by now, according to the random runes that I have on my skin, I chose a scene from one of the Shadowhunter novels, specifically from the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I chose it from the very first short story in it, which is Welcome to Shadowhunter Academy, when Isabelle comes to stake her claim on Simon in front of the entire student body. So without further ado, I will show you my very cringe-worthy video with my horrible attempt at a Scottish accent and my pretending to be a Shadowhunter. Action! Ahem. Our guest today is someone who, despite her tender years, is a Shadowhunter of some renown and noted expertise with less used weapons such as the whip. Today we would like to welcome to Shadowhunter Academy our first guest lecturer, Isabelle Lightwood. I'm not actually here to instruct any of you idiots. If you want to learn to use a whip, train with one. And if you lose an ear, don't be a big whiny baby. I am here to determine my relationship. Do you see that man? That's Simon Lewis, and he is my boyfriend. So if any of you even think about trying to hurt him because he is a Mundy, or may the angel have mercy on your soul pursuing him romantically, I will come after you, I will hunt you down, and I will crush you into powder. Oi, wait, it just rolled. I'm going to go now. Thank you for your attention. Class dismissed. I have to go. Yeah, you do. Isabelle! So that was that! That was really interesting for me to do. It is not at all, in any capacity, something that I usually get myself into. I have never done something like this before. I have to say it was a lot of fun once I got over the awkwardness of knowing that my entire family could hear me outside of my bedroom door and all of the retakes. While I'm here, I thought I would give you guys a little bit of an update on the readathon portion of the Booktubeathon. I mentioned in my last video yesterday, at the last update that I gave, that I was still on Red Queen, which originally I had chosen from the book that had a lot of hype. However, since I started it was 100 pages into it the night before, originally I was still counting it because it was just, like, I think it was probably after midnight by the time I'd gotten those 100, but I felt guilty, so I changed it to The Summer I Turned Pretty. I haven't read that one yet, but I did finish Red Queen last night, and then I started on Tangled Webs by Lee Bross. Now, if you watched my TBR video, you'll know this one was not on it. I ran into an issue with my book that I'd chosen for someone who was very different from me. Originally, I had chosen Legacy of Kings by Eleanor Herman, because it was both a historical fiction, but it was also taking place in ancient Macedonia and Persia, which is a completely different culture from what I'm used to. I thought that was a pretty good pick. However, I was partway into it, and I thought that I was going to have to go back and reread it. I didn't realize how much I actually remembered, given that it's been a year and a half since I started it, but when I tried to open it up, I was surprised to find that I remembered most of it. And so I didn't feel right on just continuing from where I left off in order to count that book, even though I thought it was a good book for the character who was different from you. So instead, I changed it to Tangled Web. This is about a teenage girl set in Enlightenment London. She goes by the name Lady A. She's a notorious blackmailer among the elite. They trade secrets for favors, and then she brings them back to Bones, her basically overlord. But really, this Lady A is just a 17-year-old named Arista who yearns for love and for freedom. And then, as the book progresses, she obviously meets a love interest, and obviously some of the blackmail stuff starts to unravel. It is the nature of books in general, guys. But I picked this one because it's London, which isn't that totally of a different culture, but it is a different setting. It's historical fiction, so it's Enlightenment rather than Victorian, which is what I usually read in London historical fiction kind of thing. Also, she's an orphan and she lives in complete poverty and squalor, which is a very different lifestyle than what I am familiar with. So I thought, even though it's not exactly what I want, it doesn't give me the totally different culture or ethnicity and stuff like that, like some other books that I really wanted to read, like The Hate You Gave and Your Welcome Universe, which I didn't have time to go out and get before the Booktubeathon started, and I really wanted to get into it. So I read this one instead. I started it last night, and then I finished it this morning, which means that I'm now done one official book for the readathon challenge of the Booktubeathon. Then this morning after that one, I also started Dune by Carrie Corp and Lori Langdon. I mentioned this is the one I was going to use as my book that needs to be read entirely outside. And now daylight is rapidly failing, so I have to go finish that since I'm like only 100 pages in. Really good so far. I know I mentioned in my TBR that for some reason, whenever I picked it up off the shelf to start reading it, I just kept putting it back. And so I made myself get in to past the first chapter and not put it back. I sat there outside with a bee circling me in terror for a good hour, and it's really, really good. Like, everything that I heard about it is true. It is good. It's cute. It's got little beginnings of romance, and I haven't really gotten into it yet, but so much that I'm excited to actually get into it, and this whole magical medieval land in the middle of Scotland, and the mythology is just, I don't know why I put this off for so long, because I'm only 100 pages in, and it's already fantastic. Anyway, my goal is then to get through this one today, and then to begin on Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, which I mentioned was going to be my book that I want to read in entirely a day. So it's going to be a little bit of a feat, given that it was an unexpectedly 500-page book. So I'm going to try and stay up late tonight in order to read that. That way I will be done 3 books for the challenge by the end of day 3 of the challenge, and then for the next 4 days I have a lot going on, so I can balance just the remaining 4 books, including Queen of Shadows, so that'll be real interesting to try and manage. And then all my other obligations and stuff like that. So I look forward to seeing how this all pans out. Okay, so that is it for my day 3 of Booktubeathon video. I hope you enjoyed my cringe-worthy movie of sorts with poor Simon and Isabelle and just all those shenanigans. And I will see all of you lovely people tomorrow when I come back with whatever tomorrow's challenge ends up to be. So until then, happy reading, and I will see you next time. Bye! To determine my Oi! Oi! Wait, I just broke. Oh my god, that was awful. Oh, no. Train with one. If you whip off an... Isabelle!